Is it working? I can't tell. It's working! Okay, welcome to episode 1 of my knitting podcast. My name is Jessica. I have been a knitter for over 10 years, since I was about 15 or 16 years old. I am a continental knitter. I first learned to crochet and then I learned how to knit, and I could not knit English style, so I learned how to continental knit because you can hold the yarn with your left hand. I'm sure you just saw I have a co-host. His name is Stevie. He's a Holland Lop. He is a little over 6 months old now. He has free roam of my sewing room because he's litter trained. So he goes in a litter box like a cat. So he gets my entire sewing room. I have to share my sewing room, knitting room with my rabbit. I know, crazy, but he's so sweet. He loves attention, and he's going to make a great co host for this podcast. All right, and he's also a little distracting because he's so cute. And when he comes up to get petted, how can you not pet him? But again, his name is Stevie. I also have my golden retriever right in front of me, but you can't see him. He's just laying here because he's a mama's boy. One thing I was worried about starting a podcast is just not having enough to talk about, because I noticed a lot of the podcasts are like an hour long, and I'm like, I don't think I can talk for an hour. So I'm going to shoot for maybe 25 minutes. I'm not trying to take up a bunch of your time. I know we're all busy. I personally I love short podcasts, and I love the ones that are an hour. I'll actually just split up the podcast throughout the day and watch a little bit here, a little bit there, and sort of go through a long podcast through my day. Um, but again, I just don't know how I could have a lot to talk about because I'm just one person, and I wish I got more done than what I do, but I really don't get that much done. Uh, but anyways, yeah, so welcome to the podcast. It's going to be a little bit rocky because I've never done this before and I'm kind of scared, like I'm nervous. I feel nervous. But I think it'll be okay eventually. I have Stevie, my emotional support boy. So he's doing good. I have his pellets, which is what he's begging for. He is a pellet junkie. He loves to eat pellets, and bunnies have very sensitive digestive tracts, so you should not feed them too much of one thing. And their diet is supposed to be 80% Timothy hay to begin with. It keeps them moving. Bunnies poop 200 times a day, fact. And but yeah, they have no self-control, so you have to monitor their feeding habits. And yeah, if they can get GI stasis and it can kill them, so you have to be very careful. And even though he's really cute and wants all of the junk food, he can't have it. It's for his own good. All right, so enough knitting. Enough knitting. Never. Enough talking about Steve. Let's talk about knitting. So I have another dog behind the door, if you can hear her whining. She is banished from the sewing room right now because she chased the rabbit, and that is a big no-no. Okay, so I have 2 finished objects, which I should start by saying the reason I decided I wanted to do a knitting podcast is I just came back from the Super Summer Knit Together hosted by the Knit Girls. I'd always wanted to go to the event, and it started when I was a teenager. I was like 17, and so it's always been a dream of mine to go, and I never thought I would go, and now I just feel empowered to start diving back into knitting, crocheting, sewing. I love to quilt, but I just don't get enough motivation or time to do it. Stevie, you are being silly. So I just felt empowered after the SSK retreat to come back and really get back into what I love. And so that's why I'm starting this podcast. I just want to fall back in love with knitting and enjoy this hobby that I love for so long, and sort of stopped, loving it as much just because it felt like I was never doing anything as good as everyone else. So it just made me not want to do it anymore. And none of us as knitters, quilters, crocheters need to feel inferior to other people. people on social media are only showing their best. And the reality is, while their knit or whatever might look absolutely perfect, I'm sure behind the scenes it's not as perfect as it seems. And on this podcast, I am not trying to show you a perfect anything. I am so beyond perfect, and I am so awkward, and I have a really hard time socializing and making friends. And that's one reason why I really just did not want to start a podcast. I just feel so just out of place. And I definitely felt that in SSK. I didn't make friends like I wanted to. It was really hard. And so I thought I really want to take this opportunity after SSK. Sorry, my dog. Echo, I'm having a serious conversation. He's a big boy. Come on, go, go. Um, I want to take this opportunity after SSK to like kind of get grounded back into what I love, and that is knitting, crocheting, quilting. I love the fiber arts, and I am not inferior to other people, because people want to make you feel that way, and I am not good enough, and neither are you, and no one in the community has the right to make you feel that way. If you make something, anything, doesn't matter what it is, it can be fiber related, painting, anything that you create is special because you made it. It was your time, your effort, your passion that made it happen, and that matters. So that is the spiel. So let's get into knitting now. Ugh, I'm an old lady. I can't sit with my legs crossed. So my first finished object here is a pair of socks. These are the evergreen socks, sock pattern, sorry. And it is a free pattern. It has the sweetest little trees on both sides of the leg. It's a very easy pattern. And I used the Fish Lips Kiss heel and the standard Kitchener toe. These needles were on my These socks were on my needles for an embarrassingly long amount of time. I mean, I just went through a season where I did not want to knit. Knitting didn't make me happy, but I longed to knit. It's depression. That's what depression does. You love something so much, but you just can't bring yourself to do it, even though you want to. And so I'm really proud to finish these socks after literally 2 years. These are for my fiance Daniel. We're getting married September 30th, and I'd really love to make him another pair for our wedding, but I just don't know if I have the time for that right now. But I'm really proud to finally finish these. It was a lot of pressure to have them sitting on the needles for so long, and it definitely made me feel guilty. Okay, my last finished object is this crochet top. This is the Sagebrush Tank. It is a paid for pattern. I believe I bought it off of Etsy. It's a really trendy looking top, if you ask me. And I made it for SSK. I made the small. I probably could have made a medium, but I figured cotton tends to stretch, in my opinion. Um, Unless you wash it and then it shrinks, but I don't know. Cotton is kind of unpredictable, so I really like how it turned out. I did wear it. I posted a picture on my Instagram. I used Juniper Moon Farm Zoe soft cotton linen blend. It's a 60% cotton and a 40% linen. I use linen because I'm noticing there's a new trend in the knitting community where everyone is making summer tops. And back 10 years ago, I don't remember people making summer tops. And now that's a big thing, and I'm here for it. And I noticed that people recommend linen for those because it's better for the summer heat. This, I do not know what this color is, but I have two more balls so I can make a second one. And this color is Iris. So my small only took 2 skeins, which is really nice. Okay, Stevie, what are you doing, bud? He's like, Mom, you're flinging around knitting? I'm scared a little bit. He's so silly. Of course, he sits right where you can see him. Should see my dog over there. He's laying on his back with his legs up. All right, so my works in progress. I have 2 works in progress and maybe one more. I'm probably gonna have to stop in the middle of this because I have my nephew over and I have his lunch in the oven. But back to knitting. This work in progress is the Old Town Cardigan by Carol Sunday. This cardigan has been on the needles again for a super long time. It is made using juniper moon. It is 100% alpaca, and I do not have the band because this is such an old knit, the bands are gone. This has been a labor of love because this sweater I've always wanted is a dream knit. I just never felt like I was good enough to knit it, so it took me a long time to knit it. And even now I'm having a hard time finishing the sleeves because I'm scared that at this point I'm going to mess something up. And that's what really prevents me from progressing as a knitter, is that I'm just scared that I won't be able to do something, so I just don't do it. But here it is. I think it fits perfectly because it's not a button down cardigan. It's just something that sits over a tank top or something. I think it's the perfect length. I already blocked the body because I wanted to make sure the yarn wouldn't grow too much, because no, I did not do a standard swatch. So all I have to do now is the sleeves. The sleeves look a little tight because I have them on a piece of scrap yarn and it's tied tightly. But yeah, so I'm really happy about this. It's so soft. The yarn is just so soft and amazing. It feels very luxurious. All right. So my second work in progress is something I actually found in Nashville while I was at SSK. This pattern is called Printer's Alley by Joe Strong. It is a paid for pattern, and I found this pattern when we were walking through the House of Yarn. It's a local yarn store in Nashville. If you watch other podcasters that went to SSK, I'm sure you've heard them talk about it. It's a very beautiful yarn store, and it's well worth the trip. So I started this shawl using a pretty pink and white. This shawl is going to be for my mom. It's a present for on Daniel and I's wedding day. So it's a surprise, and I'm very excited to give it to her. My mom is very knit-worthy. My mom and dad are both very knit-worthy. They wear anything that I make them to death. Like, they just will wear it until it wears out. So it's really fun to knit them stuff. Okay, so this white is by Camilla Fiber Co. It's called Moonflower. And I fell in love with this yarn. I found it at the House of Yarns. I believe they're based in Nashville. Yeah. This company is based in Nashville, and this is the most beautiful, beautiful yarn. I just fell in love because it has like a shine to it and a little bit of a halo. I'll show you the pink one. A little bit of a halo, so it is 50% alpaca, 25% linen, and 25% silk. So I just fell in love. It's so beautiful. Also, while I was at this SSK, I picked up a Fat Squirrel Speaks bag by Amy Beth. I love Amy Beth. I've watched her for many years, since I was a teenager, and I've always wanted one of her bags, so this is a dream thing for me to have one of her bags. I think it's so adorable. I love the pine cones. All right, so that is, put that up here. That is all of my works in progress, but I do want to talk about 2 more things. So I am not an expert spinner, but someone from my knit group recently gifted me an Ash for Joy spinning wheel. It is the most gracious gift I've ever received, and I am so thankful. She has no idea how much I've always wanted one. I've always really wanted to get into something like that, but obviously it's hard to get into. But oof, I've been practicing, and here is a spool. This is by Spotted Circus. I got this yarn, roving in SSK as well. This is Woolly Tweed by Spotted Circus, and it is the colorway Twilight. Here is my spool. I freaking love this. It is so adorable. This is a little underwhelmed because that's where I stopped, but I think I'm still a little bit under twisted. It's still kind of delicate, but it's kind of even. This is my third attempt. And with this stuff, since it's not perfect, I started a little shawl with the not perfect bits because it's like a art yarn, and I think it's so beautiful. I'm obsessed with this colorway. I love the specs. I love purple. Purple is my favorite color. And it's squishy. I'm using a size 8, I think. Yes, a size 8 needle, and I'm obsessed. So this is a great way to practice, but also not waste the roving, because I really, really can't bear to waste the roving. Here is actually the braid. It's so pretty. I just can't bear to waste it. So that is all with the spinning. Oop. Dinner is ready. Let me pause. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. So we talked about spinning, finished objects, finished objects, work in progress. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. I do want to talk about quilting, but I'm not going to talk about that today. Let's just keep it chill since this is the first episode. I have a quilt I really want to tell you about. I want to cast on a pair of these stripedy socks by String Theory, but we will talk about that next time also. Stevie, you want to say goodbye to our friends? You see if I can get him to come over. Come here, buddy. Stevie, you want to say goodbye to our friends? He's like, bye, friends. I just want the pellets.